Have you ever wondered why God has so many names in the Bible? And how each name is more than just a title, but carries stories, promises, and His boundless love for us? Each name is a vivid portrayal of His presence, power, and mercy, extended to His children. Within these names lies a unique power. A power that brings hope to the suffering, guidance to the lost, and peace to those facing life's storms. They are not merely words, but an invitation to step into a deeper relationship with the one who loves us beyond all understanding. Let us explore the profound meanings behind these names together, and share this truth with others, to see how they can transform your perspective of God, help you overcome challenges, and strengthen your faith. This is not just a journey of discovery, but an opportunity to renew your relationship with Him. God's name in the Bible is not just words, but a living symbol of His nature, power, and love for humanity. Each name carries a deep meaning, opening the door for us to understand more about God and experience His presence in daily life. Let's explore each of these names to clearly see the wonderfulness of His plan for us, while honoring God's name and never taking His name in vain. The most important name, Merciful God. God's mercy knows no bounds, and nothing illustrates this more clearly than Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. It is not only an act of love, but also an invitation for humanity to enter a new relationship with Him. The story of a father and his lost son highlights the meaning of this mercy. The son, caught up in the temptations and mistakes of youth, abandoned his family, looking for happiness in the wrong paths. But when those paths brought him to the brink of despair, he decided to return home, carrying with him the fear of rejection. Contrary to what he feared, his father ran out to welcome him, without a word of blame, just warm arms and unconditional love. The father not only forgave him, but also held a big party to celebrate his son's return. This is a vivid picture of God's mercy. He is always ready to forgive and restore us, no matter how far we have strayed. For anyone who has ever felt lost or unworthy, the name Merciful God is a powerful reminder that God's love is not based on what we do, but is based on His infinite merciful nature. Elohim, Creator. Elohim, the first name of God introduced in the Bible, emphasizes His infinite creative power. From chaos, He brings order and wonderful beauty to the universe. Remember each step in the journey of creation. Light was created to dispel darkness. Heaven and earth were divided, plants, animals, and finally humans were all created with one purpose, clear and perfect. Elohim's creativity does not stop at forming the physical world, but also continues in human life. A modern story that illustrates this is the journey of a scientist who spends his life studying the secrets inside human cells. Each new discovery further confirms the magic of creation's design. Elohim's creation reminds us that He has a perfect plan for everything and everyone. Even though our lives may be in chaos, we can trust that God, as Elohim, always arranges everything according to a good and meaningful plan. Yahweh, I Am. Yahweh, the name revealed by God to Moses at the burning bush, affirms that He is eternal, unchanging, and always present. When Moses felt inadequate to the task of rescuing the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, God said, I am who am. It is not just an introduction, but also an affirmation of His sovereignty and absolute faithfulness. The name Yahweh brings great comfort to those who feel insecure or lacking direction. Think of a young person, standing on the threshold of important life decisions, not knowing which path to choose. When they put their trust in Yahweh's promises, they not only found guidance, but felt His presence every step of the way. This shows that, in every situation, Yahweh is not only a guiding light, but also a loyal companion. always accompanying us through all the ups and downs of life. This name not only demonstrates God's unchanging nature, but also strengthens our belief that He is always present, even when we feel alone or lost. Adonai, Lord, Teacher. Adonai is a powerful title, emphasizing the sovereignty of God and the absolute surrender He requires of His people. In the story of Abraham and Isaac, we clearly see the complete trust that Abraham had in God. When God called him to bring Isaac, his only son, to the top of Mount Moriah to sacrifice, Abraham did not question or hesitate. The image of him preparing firewood, leading Isaac and carrying a knife on that painful journey, is not only a symbol of obedience, but also a testament to his strong belief that God always has a good plan. The climax of the story is the moment and God intervenes, stopping Abraham from his heartbreaking actions and providing a lamb as a substitute sacrifice. This not only shows His mercy, but also reminds us that when we surrender to Adonai, He will never let us suffer. This biblical story can be reflected in modern life, through the image of a father facing the decision to give up a stable job to take better care of his family, although he was worried about the future. Through prayer and entrusting everything to God, he realized that true peace does not come from circumstances, but from faith in His guidance. New doors open, bringing not only financial stability, but also joy and family cohesion. This teaches us that when we completely entrust all our worries to Adonai, He will lead us along the path that He has prepared. Jehovah Jireh, God will provide. The story of Abraham and Isaac is also a strong testament to this name. Jehovah Jireh, God will provide. On the top of Mount Moriah, when Abraham raised his knife to obey God, God immediately provided a ram as a substitute sacrifice. That moment was not only a liberation for Isaac, but also a message that God sees and meets all the needs of His people. In today's life, the image of Jehovah Jireh is present in the story of a young family facing financial pressure after the father lost his job. Bills piled up, anxiety reigned every day. But the family continued to pray, trusting that God would provide. When everything seems hopeless, a longtime friend suddenly appears, bringing a new job opportunity. Not only does it help solve financial problems, this opportunity also brings new hope and confidence to the family. This story emphasizes that Jehovah Jireh not only meets material needs, but also gives comfort and faith in the most difficult times. He always knows our needs and appears at the right time. Jehovah Rapha, Lord Healer. The name Jehovah Rapha was first revealed and God healed the bitter water at Marah, turning that place into a source of life for the Israelites. But His healing went beyond physical miracles. He also heals the soul and restores the deep wounds that people suffer. A clear example is the story of a young woman who was hurt by cruel criticism from the people closest to her in her life. Those words made her feel unworthy of love, tarnishing her value and confidence. During her painful days, she reached out to God through prayer, listened to sermons, and received support from the faith community. Over time, she clearly sensed that Jehovah Rapha was at work in her life. He not only healed her emotional wounds, but also restored her faith in love and kindness. This reminds us that Jehovah Rapha never abandoned those who needed Him. His love and healing are perfect, bringing peace and wholeness to every aspect of life. Jehovah Shalom, God is peace. In the most chaotic times, God's name Jehovah Shalom reminds us that true peace comes not from external circumstances, but from His presence in our hearts. Gideon, an ordinary man living amid the oppression of the Midianites, experienced fear and helplessness. When God called him to lead the people, Gideon was confused and felt inadequate. Yet the Lord said, "Go with the strength you have." These words are not only encouragement, but also confirmation that it is God's power that brings victory. After the successful battle, Gideon built an altar and called the place Jehovah Shalom, symbolizing peace that overcomes fear and steadfastness. Likewise, a single mother today faces great pressures when raising children alone. As each day passes, she struggles with paying bills, making sure her children are taken care of, and dealing with a deep sense of loneliness. One night, when it all seemed unbearable, she knelt down to pray, casting all her worries on God. She finds comfort in the promise that God will never abandon her. The next morning, she woke up with a sense of peace that she had never experienced before. Circumstances did not change immediately, but the inner strength that Jehovah Shalom brought helped her get through each day strongly. This proves that true peace comes from a deep connection with God, not from changing circumstances. Jehovah Rohi, the Lord is my shepherd. Psalm 23 portrays the image of God as a loving shepherd who leads, protects and provides for his flock. David wrote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I will lack nothing," emphasizing that God is always present to guide and protect us, even in difficult circumstances. A young graduate student faces pressure from family and society when choosing a career path. He felt stuck, not knowing what to do to achieve stability and happiness. One evening, he opened his Bible and read Psalm 23. The promise of God's guidance and provision made him feel secure. He prayed, entrusting his confusion to God. Over time, the right opportunity arose, providing him with a job that was not only fulfilled, but also helped him grow personally. This is a proof that God not only leads, but also goes ahead to prepare the best path for us. Jehovah Rohi's guidance not only provides direction, but also protects from danger. A young friend on a trip away from home faces unforeseen challenges for the first time. When the train is delayed, and the surrounding land becomes unfamiliar, he begins to feel uneasy. But when he prayed and entrusted everything to God, he received amazing calmness. A strange man appeared and led him to safety. This story illustrates that Jehovah Rohi never leaves us, especially in the most dangerous circumstances. Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is the banner. The name Jehovah Nissi is clearly shown in the battle between the Israelites and the Amalekites. When Moses raised the rod, the Israelites had the upper hand. When he lowered his hand, the Amalekites had the upper hand. This is not only a symbol of God's power, but also a reminder that victory belongs to him. After the victory, Moses built an altar and called the place Jehovah Nissi, affirming that God was their banner of victory. Today, this story can be illustrated through the journey of a man battling alcoholism. He tried to give up many times, but failed, feeling he had no hope of leaving. One day, he went to church and shared his pain. Encouraged to turn the battle over to God, he began to pray and attend support sessions of the faith community. As each day passed, he realized that his strength came from Jehovah Nissi. In the end, he overcame his addiction and found freedom that he had never thought of before. His story is a living proof that, with God, no battle is insurmountable. The image of the flag also reminds us that God not only brings victory, but also protects us in spiritual battles and daily life. A woman was slandered at work. Her reputation was seriously damaged. In frustration and helplessness, she prayed, asking God to vindicate her and fight for her. As time passed, the truth gradually came to light. She not only recovered her reputation, but also received respect from her colleagues. This emphasizes that when we lift up the name Jehovah Nissi, God not only fights for us, but also brings glory to those who are faithful to him. Jehovah Shammah, the Lord is there, is one of the most important names. That represents God's never-ending presence. Since the time of the Old Testament, this name has appeared as a firm promise that, whether God's people are exiled or face seemingly insurmountable difficulties, he is always present with them. This is not only a word of comfort, but also a demonstration that God never abandons those who seek him. The image of a young soldier on the battlefield, far from family and friends, constantly facing press, is vivid proof of this. In the midst of the most tense moments, he took the small Bible from his pocket, turned to Ezekiel, and read, "Jehovah Shammah, God is there." These words became a source of strength and comfort, reminding him that he never had to fight alone. Another story is about a single mother in the hospital, day and night taking care of her critically ill child. When things became too much to bear, she knelt down to pray, seeking help from God. She clearly felt the presence of a man once immersed in a sinful lifestyle and destructive habits, realizes that his life no longer has meaning. One day, he walked into a church, where the pastor explained the meaning of Jehovah Mikadishkim. He listened to the invitation to start a new life, and hope gradually rekindled in his heart. He decided to dedicate his life to God, asking him to purify him and help him live a worthy life. Over time, he broke old habits, rebuilt healthy relationships, and found joy in serving his community. A woman, who had been imprisoned by her past mistakes, also found liberation when she turned to God and believed in his sanctifying power. Not only was she spiritually renewed, but she also discovered a new purpose in life, helping those in similar situations. Their story is proof that Jehovah Mikadishkim not only purifies their sins, but also reshapes their values and life goals, turning them into tools to glorify God. El Roi, God sees, is a prominent name for God, revealing his detailed concern and compassion for each individual. When Hagar was kicked out of Abraham's house, she fell into a desperate situation in the desert, completely alone, and not knowing. It was in that moment that God appeared, spoke to her, and gave her a comforting promise that he would take care of her and her son. Hagar calls him El Roi, which means, God sees, emphasizing that there is no pain of ours that God does not see, no situation that he does not pay attention to. A mother in modern times, after losing her young child, felt similar pain. She felt engulfed in grief, as if no one could understand her sense of loss. But when she reached out to God in prayer, she realized that El Roi had always seen her pain, had always been present even when she didn't realize it. The comfort of his promise gives her the strength to continue living, inspires hope, and finds new meaning in her life. El Shaddai, the Almighty, demonstrates God's infinite power, not only in heaven, but in every aspect of earthly life. This name appears in the story of Abraham, when God promised to give him a large lineage, even though he and his wife were both at an age where they could not bear children. That seemingly impossible promise became reality thanks to El Shaddai's absolute power. In today's world, that power continues to be expressed through everyday stories. One woman facing cancer felt this. When she received her diagnosis, she felt devastated. But through prayer and faith in El Shaddai's power, she found the strength to overcome it. Every day, she feels the energy and peace that comes from God far beyond any medical therapy. Her story proves that El Shaddai is not only a powerful name, but also a source of strength present in the daily lives of those who trust in him. Jehovah Sabaoth, Lord of hosts, emphasizes God's role as general leading the armies of heaven, fighting for his people in all circumstances. In the Bible, David called on the name Jehovah Sabaoth when facing Goliath, not relying on his own strength, but placing complete trust in God. His victory is a living proof that every battle belongs to God. And only through him can victory be achieved. This name continues to be proven in modern life. A teacher facing unrelenting pressure from work, colleagues, and social demands found himself pushed to the point of unbearability. But through prayer, she called out to Jehovah Sabaoth, asking him to fight on her behalf. In the trials she could not overcome alone. As a result, the pressure gradually dissipated, her colleagues began to support her. And she found peace amid the challenges. This shows that Jehovah Sabaoth exists not only in physical battles, but also in spiritual battles, where he always accompanies and brings victory to those who put their faith in him. These names demonstrate that God is not just an abstract concept, but a living entity, always present and active in our lives. El Roi sees the suffering we hide. El Shaddai gives us strength when we feel weak. And Jehovah Sabaoth fights for us the battles we cannot win on our own. Each name is a powerful reminder that we are never alone, because God accompanies and works in every situation of life. These stories highlight that the name of God is not just theoretical concepts, but living realities, present in every aspect of life. El Roi affirms that God always clearly sees every pain, trial, and difficulty we face. And nothing is beyond his care and love. El Shaddai reveals God's infinite power, a steady and inexhaustible source of strength, always ready to sustain us in seemingly insurmountable situations. Jehovah Sabaoth reminds us that God is not only the one who commands, but also the one who fights for us, leading and protecting in every battle, both physical and spiritual. These names not only help us better understand God, but also express how he works to love, protect, and guide each person. Through this, we receive strength, peace, and hope even in the midst of life's greatest challenges. Through each name, God invites us into a more intimate relationship with him, encouraging us to place our full trust in his power and unchanging presence. God's names are a clear expression of his nature, an unchanging love for humanity. Every name, from El Roi to Jehovah Sabaoth, carries a promise, and a reminder that God sees, loves, protects, and gives us strength through every trial. However, no matter how many names there are, they all point to one thing. God loves us unconditionally and wants us to put our complete trust in him. Let these names become a living prayer, helping you feel his presence and power in every aspect of your life. Whether you are facing suffering, looking for guidance, or need strength to fight, remember that God is always with you and will never leave you. Prayer. Lord, who loves me with eternal love, I offer you my soul and body. Please take control of my life. Guide, heal, and give peace in trials I face. I believe that everything will turn out well. Please spread this message so that those who need hope and faith can see God's light and love in their lives.